Well, this is going to be a different sort of video. Hey everybody, welcome to a different sort of video on the main channel. With it being the start of the fall season and also the Halloween season, I've kind of been in a bit of a Batman mood. Rewatching and also looking at a lot of different Batman media. Cause like many of you, I'm a big Batman fan, but more specifically, I really love Tim Burton's Batman. It was a big part of my childhood growing up, despite me being a 2000s baby. The only sad thing is, Tim Burton only got to make 2 films. And yet, his films inspired a lot of the different Batman takes that we have today, with the Nolan films and so many others, including Batman the Animated Series being inspired by these films, and the comics. And speaking of comics, I wanted to talk about the Batman '89 comic series, whether or not these comics actually work as a continuation of the movies and whether they live up to the hype or not. Now, keep in mind this is all based on my own personal opinion as a Batman fan, and also, none of this video is meant to disrespect any of the hardworking people that developed the comic at all. There will be just as much praise as there is criticism throughout this video. Free to disagree as long as you're civil in the comments, and also keep in mind that this is not usually the type of content that I do. I kind of just mix things up and do whatever on this channel compared to my other two. Yes, I will be comparing some of the elements to Fanscription's Batman series that I really love, and with our overly long, complicated intro aside, let's actually get into the very first comic series with Batman '89. As an intro point, the Batman '89 comic series do a lot of things right that I really love. The art is utterly amazing, and also a lot of the designs feel like they would work in Tim Burton's Batman universe. Even the concept art does a lot of interesting things to show how these designs could have worked. I can actually see some of these designs in live action back in the day, especially Two-Face. Two-Face's design in this comic book actually takes a little bit of inspiration from Batman the Animated Series, with the blue and white side of his face. This intro comic series actually tells Two-Face's origin and also his fall from grace. The story itself does borrow a lot of ideas from rumored casting and also different story choices that would have worked around Batman 3 around the time. That's what leads me into my problems with some areas of the comic. Biggest issue comes from the fact that they are actually working off of Batman Returns ending, while Fanscription actually rewrote Batman Returns to rework Harvey Dent actually in it to set up his origin a lot later. Their version of the story, I will admit, was actually a little bit better. This shares a lot of similarities to their version. It also does do things a little bit different while introducing Marlon Wayans as Robin to some extent, and also introducing other elements that I personally disagree with an older Barbara Gordon actually dating Harvey Dent. Which I know this is a completely different universe, but I kind of had a hard time believing that Barbara Gordon would be this old in this universe, but then again, I don't like it. I don't know. I will say it does feel like there are too many characters wrapped into this, but it does do something interesting here and there. But the sequel series to this, with Batman '89 Echoes, it continues from the Batman '89 comics, but it also borrows heavy influence when it comes to its story from the third scrapped Schumacher film, Scarecrow and Harley Quinn being the main bad guys of that movie. They also borrow heavy influence from scrapped concepts from Tim Burton's Batman's movies. Robin's costume actually being said to take a lot of inspiration from Batman Beyond, and also what Tim wanted to do when it came to the Robin costume for a third or second movie. I really do like some of the concepts here. It does borrow a lot from Nightwing, but it also borrows a heavy influence from Red Robin and Batman Beyond and mixes all three together. The story itself of the comic does borrow heavy influence from the Batman Unchained or Batman Triumphant script, which is actually pretty cool to see it translated into art. While it does do a lot of interesting things, I do feel it fumbles in a couple areas, but I really like some of the elements of this continuation. While I do love the designs for Harley Quinn and also Scarecrow, there are elements that I do feel when it comes to the story that just don't work for me, but it does do a great job with what it gives. Which does lead me to the third continuation of this Batman '89 comic series with the announcement of Batman Revolution, which introduces the Riddler into the Batman '89 universe. The only disappointing fact is that they are not using Robin Williams as the inspiration for the Riddler like Fanscription did, which I honestly find that to be incredibly disappointing. Yes, I do like the person that they chose, but at the same time, Robin was such a perfect casting, that's more of a minor gripe. gripe, but that leads me to the final point of this video, and that is, do these work as a continuation? Do they live up to the idea of the Tim Burton Batman films? I would say yes and no. Do they work as a continuation of those films? I would say 50-50 in some areas. I would give these a 6 or 7 out of 10, mainly due to my own personal gripes with certain choices, but I also find some of the stories to have those lackluster moments that I feel like could have been handled a bit better. Despite my nitpicks, despite my gripes, I do love them. I do like this comic series. I feel that it can be considered a good continuation. It obviously could work as a continuation of the Tim Burton Batman films, and if you see it as that, if you see it as canon, that's great. And that's great if you do. It does do that, and that's the point of it. It does do a good job of that. But me personally, because of gripes that I have, I don't consider this completely canon, but it does do a lot of interesting ideas that I feel like certain stories could have been canon. So really, it's a matter of perspective, but I do love this comic series. I highly recommend it if you guys love Tim Burton's Batman, and I highly recommend you guys check it out for yourselves. But that does it for me. Have a good rest of your guys' morning, night, afternoon, or whatever it is for you in the world, and peace out. Bye-bye.